Hello guys, and welcome to a new WARNO video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you the first of the semi-finals from the WARNO opening tournament run by the Simulated Divisions League. This one is going to be between Steve and Seagull and DarrickS. Today they are playing on death row, and on our left in the red we have Stephen using the 3rd Armoured on the NATO side, and on our right in the blue we have DarrickS also using the 3rd Armoured on the NATO side. I have changed some of the game settings to make things a little bit clearer for these casts. I've increased the size of the icons on the unit so you guys can read them a little bit better, and I've also decided to turn on 3D unit scaling, which I normally have on but for some reason was turned off, so that should help you guys see the units a little bit better when I'm zoomed out. Now both of these guys did have very convincing victories in their previous games. Steven Seagull with a great kill-death ratio, just allowing him to completely roll his opponent. And then DarrickS basically went for a more unorthodox strategy where he brought in a lot of command units at the start and then proceeded to use a helicopter to destroy all his enemy command units. So the game ended very fast because not only did he capture all his sectors very quickly and therefore had the plus, he also took away the points from his opponent. So yeah, that was very fast indeed. So we'll see if DarrickS goes for a similar strategy again today, if he brings out like a lot of commands. But I feel like due to the way that Steven Seagull played with his really decent KD, it could be quite risky for DarrickS to invest too much into his command units early on, because he won't have enough units on the ground to really deal with the plays that Steven Seagull was making in the last game. So let's have a look anyway at some of the units going down here. I expect to see a lot of these Stinger squads. These Stingers are very important at the moment, just to stop the helicopter flanks and help your front line survive those attacks as well. But up here we do have some engineers, and we also have the mechanized rifles. Further down, it's going to be another Stinger C with the military police with the M67. Then you've got another mechanized rifle and Stinger towards the center. Leading the charge there is going to be 2 M3A1 Bradleys. Don't really see anything else just yet. He hasn't put down his command vehicle or anything, so Steven Seagull, obviously trying to work out what he wants to do next, has placed the mechanized rifle leader in his home sector. Let's have a look on the side of DarrickS in the meantime. He has a military police on the top side there with the engineers, and then he's got an AH-1F Cobra. This did a lot of work in the last game that he played. It managed to find a lot of the unarmored Jeep commands that his opponent had and kill them with the 20mm very easily. So he's going to be looking for that again. It won't be as easy for the H1F Cobra to kill units like the mechanized rifle leader, because they are infantry. They're harder to spot when they're in buildings, and they're also, you know, able to fire back with their guns. So if the Cobra kind of hangs around on top of them for a while, since it doesn't have any armor, it will take damage over time and might get killed off with some good micro. But either way, yep, just the engineers and military police up there. Engineers with Dragon further down. Another AH-1F Cobra going to the middle. He's got engineer with dragons here, some mechanized rifle leaders, and then another engineer with the dragons. M577 CPC and a Stinger C for DarrickS here. So it looks like he's kind of changed up his command choices. He's got the mechanized rifle leader, he's got the M577 CPC. I'm pretty sure DarrickS was using the Jeeps before as well, so interesting to see that change. Then there's the engineers with Flash there, and an engineer with Dragon, and another AH-1F Cobra on the bottom side with another engineer Dragon at the bottom. So I'm not convinced that engineer Flash with the flash launchers are really worth having at the start. I've mentioned this before, but basically they're decent as like support units for other infantry, as opposed to being something that you just want to charge in and engage the enemy with initially, just because they are so vulnerable to armored targets. So like any form of like APC, I mean, even these M113 ACAVs, if Steven Seagull had any, he has Bradleys in this case, which are probably just as bad. The engineers with Flash can't do anything against them with those napalm launchers, so that is not ideal for DarrickS if he bumps into them. But a lot of these M113 ACAVs coming out of the start, I think that's all 6 that you can get. He's just placing them on all the different roads, going to be looking for kills, potentially onto these M3A1 Bradleys early on, which would be nice because these are 135 points and the M113 ACAV is 55 points. So could be very cost efficient to take out these Bradleys with those M113s early on. Either way, we're off. On the bottom side, Steven Seagull did add another military police there with the mechanized rifle. He did add a couple of AH-1F Cobras, and he's also brought in a supply truck at the start, which is an interesting choice. I actually kind of like it because it allows him to resupply his Cobras on the fly very early on. So if they use up their Hydras on enemy vehicles like these M113s to help stun them, or picks off an infantry squad, then it can just go back and land next to the supply truck and it'll be ready to go again, which is really, really good. So at the spawn, M577 CPC for DarrickS. He's also got one going into Echo, and then he's got one that's actually pushing ahead all the way into the center of the map early on at Bravo. Whereas it seems like Steven Seagull has only got the one leader at the start. So there's going to be a lot more troops for Steven Seagull on the map, and he's got to be a little bit careful here that he doesn't get the same thing that was done to König happen to him. So here we go with the initial engagement, still getting very loud. The H-1F Cobras are engaging each other with the 20 mils. They're firing their rockets at the infantry. Both sides are just pounding each other's convoys with these AH-1F Cobras as they engage. Look at that. They're going at each other, trying to shoot each other down. That one's going to go down. The 2 versus 1 there in the center was helpful for DarrickS, but it looks like the M3A1 Bradley comes over and helps shoot down one of the AH-1Fs. And now the Phantom 2 is going to come in and shoot down that one. This cluster munition Phantom comes in and does hit the Bradley, so that's going to get taken out. That is a very explosive start to this game. This Cobra is going to get away from the Stinger squads that are moving up. The Bradley in the center is going to be engaging the engineer with the Dragons there, but the Dragon 2 can kill the M3A1. It does only have 1 health left, and it does go down 135 points, just like that. Gone out the window. The mechanized rifles here trying to make a stand on the bottom side of Bravo. I would say in general the initial engagement there fell in favor of DarrickS. Surprised to see those aircraft come in very, very early, but they definitely helped him take down the last Cobra and finish off that recon unit on the bottom side. So now we can see all of the transports driving back to the base to be sold on both sides. I think both players were probably preoccupied with the initial engagement on the map, so didn't really have time to sell them immediately. But now that the initial fighting is kind of settled down a little bit, they're able to get those transports out of there. But I like how DarrickS has kept this Jeep on the field here, and he's going to be using that to kind of just kill off this Stinger squad. This poor dude on his own, trying his best. He's gonna do a runner, see if he can get away from that machine gun, but nope, not gonna happen. Engineers with Dragon gonna be continuing to engage the mechanized rifles here, and the mechanized rifles aren't technically in the building, so they're actually gonna take a lot of damage. I think they dropped down to the bottom side of the building on purpose to avoid the engagement with the engineers with Flash and the engineer with Dragon there, but they probably would have won that engagement if they continued it, so that's unfortunate. Ooh, nice pick off there by the engineers with the Dragon 2 to kill off the supply vehicle. The M13A Cav's going to go down in the meantime to the mechanized rifles. So punches going both ways as they take out each other's units. Steven Seagull now reinforcing with an M1A1 Abrams, and what is brought in next is going to be mighty important. Both players actually bringing in M1A1 Abrams as well as extra infantry squads to supplement them. But yeah, DarrickS' position on the map right now is very strong. He does have the +3 advantage. He's captured Golf and Bravo, so he's got that +3. What Steven Seagull is going to want to do is get a command unit into the backside of Bravo so that he can start to contest this and prevent that +3 advantage that DarrickS has from becoming too much of a problem throughout the game. Looks like DarrickS here has also decided to invest in the Kiowa, so that's going to be coming in there with the Hellfire missiles. I'll just watch that as it goes over this glorious landscape. Oh, it's so beautiful. Then we got the Abrams, of course, that's going to be engaging the units down the road there. Lovely. And definitely hitting those military police hard. Doesn't want to get into range of that really, because they can start pounding the M1A1 with the recoilless rifle. So got to be a tad careful. But M1A1 moving in on this bottom side. Doesn't have to care so much about the engineers with the flash launchers, but with 2 Dragon squads here, this could get pretty risky. Looks like Steven Seagull is going to be able to retreat that, but it looks like it took a ton of damage. I guess the armor on this is not as great as like a M1A1HA, but yeah, damn. That was a lot of damage done there. I feel like that was like, must have been the equivalent to a side shot. Maybe the HHM kind of like hooked around and got the damage in there. One thing to kind of look at here is DarrickS kind of adjusting his command unit. He's just hiding it as best as he can in here. There it is. Just kind of behind those sort of water towers or whatever they are. But either way, another H1F Cobra coming in. Engineers gonna probably get taken out there in the heavy cover. Dragon squad firing again. Yeah, in the front armor, only does one armor, so that M1A1, well, only does one damage, sorry. The M1A1 there must have got hit by a technical side shot. Steven Seagull trying to back off from the engineers. Oh, but the Kiowa, oh no, it missed, and the Stinger's gonna get a shot off. Will it get the second shot off? So far, it looks like the Stinger kind of missed, and just the machine gun from the M1A1's actually the thing that's shooting that down. There's only one health left on that. He's going to keep that safe for now. The nice thing about the Kiowa is that it has the 2,825 meter range, and that's really what you got to make use of when you're using these sort of low health aircraft, because if you get them too close to even the machine guns of a heavy tank like this, you can see they take a lot of damage. But one thing that is happening right now is that Kiowa is getting around to the backside of the map. It's not so much of a problem for Steven Seagull this time around, because he does have an infantry leader, not a leader that is a vehicle, so the Kiowa can't actually target the mechanized rifle leader, and if it were to fly over the top, it would probably actually get shot down, so the Kiowa would be able to defend itself in that case. Meanwhile, on the top side though, DarrickS is trying to make a little bit of a play here. He's brought in a couple of engineers with the flash launchers, and he's going to be trying to push into the top sector of Delta that Steven Seagull is holding there. And then I guess he would try and bring in a command to try and contest that. That would allow him to get back his lead that he had before. Because currently, you know, yes, DarrickS has about 1,000 points, but the center sector of Bravo is now completely 50-50. So neither player is going to be getting any points here. The sector has to be controlled 100% in order for either player to receive points from the sector. That's important to note. But loads of AA here. We got the Stingers, we got the Chaparrals in now, and I think it's extremely important that this is the case. Although another Kiowa is actually moving around on the top side, and also an Apache is now coming through on the bottom side. So DarrickS going for these helicopter flanks once again. Will he get away with it? The Kiowa going for the supply truck. Oh, this is a sort of the supply M113. Does take it out. So nice kill there. It's just going to be an annoyance really for Steven Seagull more than anything. But yeah, both these Kiowas moving around. The mechanized rifle leader here just very well hidden in this building. The Kiowa is going to have to pretty much go right over the top in order to get that spotted. So there we go. And then he's going to have to bring in like the Apache really to take that out. But the Stinger is actually going to kill the Kiowa. So that's one down. This Kiowa though might actually find a kill. The MUT CP is here. However, there is a Stinger that will help him out. There we go. Stinger takes it down, and the Thunderbolt also came in to deal with that helicopter. Thunderbolt's now moving over for the Apache as well. And I think the Thunderbolt and also the Su-25 are currently some of the best options that players have to deal with enemy helicopters. You can see the Thunderbolt there, unfortunately losing line of sight of the Apache as it moves over cover. They can't really spot very well for themselves at the moment, these aircraft, so the Apache is able to get away with that one. DarrickS definitely happy about that, I'm sure. Ooh, big boom. There goes the turret flying off the Abrams as that gets popped by, I assume, the Dragon squad here. Nicely done. Taking out that heavy tank on the bottom side is definitely going to help him out. Two of these M728 CEVs are now coming in for DarrickS. These are actually quite nice infantry support tanks. I just feel like they're a little bit overpriced at the moment. 105 points. They can absolutely demolish infantry squads. but they obviously suffer massively against enemy tanks. Oh, nice, again, the Dragons hitting the M1A1 Abrams hard, and is forcing that to fall back for the time being. The Chaparral also had to move out of there. Currently, though, Seagull just contesting the centre with this Jeep. It is a bit vulnerable. I much prefer DarrickS' use of the mechanised rifle leader here to contest, just because it's a lot harder to see, a lot harder to find, and also it is more resilient. Whereas the Mutt here, if it gets hit by some artillery fire or just an airstrike comes in, it's going to die very, very quickly, so he's got to be careful. Looks like the Apache's going all the way back to base. Darrick here giving it a shift move command just to get it all the way around the edge, back to the front, and then he'll probably just use it in support of his other troops to take things down. But the Thunderbolt's still hanging about. It's going for these CEVs, going to be taking down one of them. It does have the 4 Maverick missiles. Oh, the Phantom's coming in. Not able to shoot down the Thunderbolt. The Thunderbolt clips the Phantom on the way through. Both of the Phantoms go down. Beautiful stuff. The Thunderbolt, what an absolute beast. Tanks those shots. And the AA certainly does the job. It was almost complete bait there, because like the Phantoms came in. He knows that he's flying over his own AA. He's got 3 Stingers here that could potentially fire at anything that flies over this area, plus the Chaparral, which is being resupplied. So he's got plenty of missiles that he can launch up into the sky and take down those aircraft. And so far this has been a very nice game, like just a very sort of even game. Obviously Darrick got the initial advantage in the first engagement, but Steven Seagull has managed to recover relatively well, getting himself back into position. Just needs to clear out this bottom side so that's not so much of a flanking opportunity for Darrick. And he also needs to keep an extra eye out for these helicopter flanks that could very well happen. I think Darrick here, he's brought in an M35 supply that he's going to be using to fix up his Apache and then potentially send it back round the map again. So the CEV there going to be hit hard by the Dragon 2 of the mechanized rifles, and this is one problem that I find the M728 CEV to have, is that it doesn't really have like a way of dealing with HGMs. So a lot of the NATO units in particular, like these mechanized rifles, engineers with Dragons for example, have all these HGMs. I mean, even the Soviets have the Metis, right? And those can kill the CEVs very, very easily. So it's kind of difficult to make good use out of them before they get slammed by those infantry at like longer ranges, where the unit itself is supposed to be decent at taking out enemy infantry. Either way, engineers versus engineers. On the top side, looks like the engineers of Darrick have the advantage here, since the cohesion of the Steven Seagull's engineers are low. So he's going to be doing less rate of fire, which means less damage, whilst Darrick's continuing the full DPS there onto his troops. Darrick bringing up the M48 Chaparral on the top side. It is starting to build up a lot of troops. Look at this. That's going to be 6 M2A2 Bradleys with the Dragon squads inside. It's going to be a hell of a punch to the top side if Steven Seagull's not careful. We'll see that aggress shortly, I'm sure. More military police and engineers coming in. A couple of those going to be heading to the bottom side. That is going to be the engineers with the flash launchers, and then towards the center of the map, just up below the bottom side of Bravo, we're going to be seeing a couple more of the military police. The military police in this position are actually not bad, because if anything tries to like move up this road, they can sideshot it with a recoilless. They do have like 1,400 meter range, and you can see that that's just beyond there. So that's like 1,000 meter range to the tree line, and then obviously plus the extra 400 meters. The first M1A1HA going to be coming in for Darrick. I believe, yeah, Steven Seagull already has one. So he's got one on his side. Both players kind of mimicking each other's play here, which is really interesting to see. It looks like this has kind of become a sort of more meta game where both players, you know, using similar units, using similar tactics, bringing in units at the same time. And it's nice to see that the sort of games that were quite explosive and fast in the first or like quarterfinals that we covered has kind of calmed down a little bit. But here we go, 2 M1A1s going to be moving up. Oh, that M1A1 in a bad spot, revealing itself to the M1A1HA Abrams, and well, that's gone down very quickly indeed. Now we've got a 2v1 situation against the M1A1HA in cover, but with the mechanized rifles helping out, that's going to take a lot of damage very quickly. Oh no, the engine, I think, is on fire there for a little bit on that crit, and that kept it in position for just a little bit longer, allowing Steven Seagull to bring that down to 2 health. I think Steven Seagull here might commit. We'll have to wait and see. The Phantom 2 coming in with the cluster though. Oh, is that going to do enough damage? It does get shot down. Damn, that went down fast. But both the M1A1s are going to survive. Their cohesion was brought low and their health low. Looks like Steven Seagull's going to want to back that up and get those resupplies and fix up. So, super important. Also, this M35 supply coming in for Darrick. Looks like he wants to get his engineers reloaded on the Dragon 2s and might also want to be fixing up this M1A1 further down. But this is in line of sight of the mechanized rifles, so got to be careful there. It might get taken out. Oh yeah, meanwhile on the top side, let's not forget about this. The attack coming in from the Bradleys, supporting the charge of the fire teams. And it seems like he's made good ground. He's just taken out the leader in the Delta sector here. There is an M1A1 that could make short work a lot of these Bradleys at close range, depending on if the Bradleys can land their toes or not. Because if the toes land, the M1A1 might go down. But an Apache has been brought in. This could be a really nice response here to this aggression. The M1A1's already killed one of the M1A2 Bradleys, shoots the other one in the rear, takes both of those out, and that's going to be all of the Bradleys destroyed on this top side. Just the fire teams left in that area. Meanwhile, mechanized rifles now pushing out on the bottom side are going to be jumping into the engineers with the flash launchers, but they kind of like wasted a lot of their napalm launchers onto the Jeep here, and that's just going to be zooming through. Even captured the supply here. So both players kind of ebb and flow of this battle, pushing up and down. Obviously with Darrick making his aggression on the top side, and now Steven Seagull doing the same on the bottom side. He is going to be unloading his mechanized rifles there, probably going to be trying to move into the backside of Echo to try and take out that CV. To cluster Phantom 2s coming in, they're going to be looking for the engagement onto the Apache. They do have the AIM-9Js, so trying to use those in order to shoot down the Apache with their main guns. But we got the Eagle. Takes down both the Phantoms. Oh boy. That is nasty. The Eagle, great job there. Apache doing a good job of hammering these infantry squads. There's nothing they can do against that 30mm right now. There's no AA to support them. So the Apaches just have an absolute field day. Steven Seagull has managed to secure Delta once again. And, well, it seems as though Steven Seagull's M35 is just rolling around in the background here. And he's actually managed to spot this M57 CPC. The mechanized rifles, though, not in really the best position to go chase that down. It is, however, very hilarious how this M35 is rolling around here. Also, the M35 supply truck that he captured, Steven Seagull was sent back to the base of Darrick. So, some amusing moves for sure. But in the meantime, in the center, the M1A1s have maintained their position. One of them is damaged, the other one's completely fixed up now. Oh, the M1A1 getting taken out there on the bottom side. Hop in to those military police. And, well, here go the mechanized rifles, going to be advancing into that position. Now that it's been cleared out, the next thing they're going to have to be worried about is probably the engineers and the Stingers here. It looks like the engineers are engaging that Jeep. There is the Apache of Darrick coming in. You can see again both players like mimicking each other in terms of like the response to each other's attacks. The Apache being used to kind of take care of all of these infantry squads that have ended up unsupported by AA. And helicopters are pretty good at the moment for doing that, and I guess they always have been. Like even in Wargaming Dragon, they're a great response to like a deep attack into your lines, especially if you can deal with the AA or don't have the AA to deal with in the first place. M35 supply from Steven, he's just sending that off into the middle of the map, or into the corner of the map. He just doesn't care. He doesn't want that back. The mechanized rifles, they don't have any dragons left, so this Jeep's actually doing quite a lot of damage onto the mechanized rifles here, and because the mechanized rifles have low cohesion, they're barely doing any damage to this Jeep. Scouts are moving forwards, whilst the M1A1s are moving back. Not too convinced that's a good idea. But he is going to be getting those resupplied and fixed up. which will allow him to, again, go on the offensive. But yeah, the scouts are going to get taken out. And if the scouts were engaging the engineers there while the M1A1s were in position, the M1A1s would be able to do quite a bit of damage. Oh, the OH-58s on the top side, I think, were having a go at the Apache. It looks like the Apache's gone, so I assume it got shot down by those OH-58s. A sneaky move there by DarrickS to take out that helicopter, because the Apache's worth quite a lot. It's like 245 points. But in the right hands, it can do a lot of damage. Oh, we got the Chaparral moving up. It's already hit it once. Can it hit it again? I think the Apache just managed to move out of range there in time as the Chaparral moves forwards. Because this has the 6 damage, it can actually like take down the Apache pretty quickly. So he's got to be careful not to get hit too much by those. Again, the HA Abrams supporting the infantry push. This what basically Steven Seagull's doing is he's screening his tanks with infantry pushing across the open, and then obviously backing up with the M1A1 HA Abrams. And this can work really well. It can also be punished really hard because infantry dies pretty quickly. If, say, DarrickS were to have like a bunch of Bradleys and stuff here with their autocannons, they would tear through these infantry so fast. Especially as well if DarrickS maybe had like a bunch more tanks as well, like a few of these M1A1s. But I think that Steven Seagull's really done a good job in the center of the map of securing his armored sort of dominance right now. He's currently got 4 M1A1 HA Abrams on the field, plus this M1A1 on the bottom side, whilst DarrickS only has this single M1A1 HA. Cheeky little snipe there onto the supply truck, although it looked like it was empty. Yeah, so currently the force in the center of the map is extremely in favor of Steven Seagull, and once he gets the troops he needs to lead a charge across the open, I'm sure he'll get a lot of work done. Engineers with the dragons, they're trying to engage, but that is it. It is over. And I'm led to believe that Steven Seagull was given the win here because DarrickS actually crashed, and DarrickS also agreed that he was starting to lose the game. So hats off to DarrickS for giving that to Steven Seagull. But of course that is an unfortunate way to be dropped out of the tournament. Won't be the last we see of DarrickS though. He will be playing in the 3rd place final. Either way, congratulations to Steven Seagull for moving on to the final. He definitely had the upper hand in that game, in my opinion, just due to the kills and losses. You can see that he traded very, very well with the 4,350 kills to 2,675 losses. So great job once again. Similar to his last game, very, very cost efficient with his units. Definitely cost DarrickS a lot of points. DarrickS did make some decisive moves, especially with that Bradley push on the top side, but leaving it unsupported by AA meant that the one Apache could basically clean it all up, which was unfortunate for him. But let's have a look at some of the kills going down here. So the mechanized rifle there, really nice kill list. Some of these M1A1s kind of struggled to get kills, but there was one, I believe, that got both of the kills. The M1A1 HA Abrams, there it is, killed both of the enemy M1A1 HA Abrams. I'm not sure how many of these that both players had, but it looks like all of Steven Seagull's were like 3 vet, whilst DarrickS were 2 vet. That means that technically Steven Seagull would have to use like more of his activation points to bring in M1A1s than DarrickS did, but the numbers might be the same if, say, DarrickS still has like 2 cards of them. But regardless, he lost those 2, and that definitely put him at a bigger disadvantage in the center. Like having these heavy tanks in the tank-on-tank engagements, super important. But yeah, just a bunch of M2A1s going down. I'm not a big fan of the Bradleys. I keep saying it. I feel like they die too easily to the sort of like heavy tanks that are available. They die to, you know, the HGMs. They die to helicopters. There's just a lot of things that take them out very easily, and I think the best way to use the Bradleys really is as long-range AT launchers as opposed to like offensive vehicles. And the other thing about doing that is that if you then get pushed, the autocannon is very good for cleaning up offensive infantry, like coming your direction. So, for example, in the middle where Steven Seagull was sort of screening his tanks with infantry, if there were the Bradleys on the defense, not only would the Bradleys be able to pop the tanks at a distance with the HGMs, they'd also be able to attack the infantry and kill them very quickly. So I think defensively Bradleys can work very well. On the side of Darrick, his M113A3s didn't really do too much. He managed to shoot down an AH-1F Cobra with one, I guess that's something, but for the most part they didn't really do too much at the start, unfortunately. Did provide him with a little bit of a recon, but the start of the match was just so explosive. There was so much going on. Those 2 aircraft came in as well, helping Darrick get a pretty nice advantage in the center of the map. Just didn't quite capitalize it. I just don't think he had the troops to follow up from that initial engagement, or maybe didn't anticipate like how many kills he really got. But either way, a really nice game actually. It's a shame that it ended early, but it is what it is. Of course, it is early access, and these things happen. But yeah, we're going to be moving on to the second semi-final, and we'll see who Steven Seagull is going to be going up against. Again, commiserations to Darrick, kind of a sad way to go out. But congratulations to Steven Seagull, who's going to be moving on. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.